Okay, I can go ahead and start the session. I'm gonna mute everybody. Okay, and if somebody can let me know if you guys can still hear me, maybe on a chat would be nice. Yes, okay, perfect. All right, so again, thank you everybody for joining. I know a lot of you guys are very excited. And first of all, I'm also very thrilled to have this session. If you don't know me, I've been in Salesforce ecosystem for about 5+ years. Overall in technology for about 18+ years. I also sort of switched my career from a more technical background, which was in telecommunication. I spent about 12+ years in telecommunication, working in different technical and non-technical roles, more functional roles. And I did go through myself through a journey where I transitioned my career. So I can be somebody who can tell you a little bit about how, if you are looking for a transition from an existing career, it could be challenging, but it would be very rewarding, as well as if you are starting your career. Again, that would be also very, very helpful. It's a very good ecosystem, and we'll talk about different areas and different roles that you can actually join Salesforce within. And so very recently, I started working in Salesforce about, as I said, 5+ years. I get into consulting roles. I work both technical and functional roles till I end up becoming Salesforce employee. At one point in time, the company I used to work for was acquired by Salesforce. I spent some time working as a Salesforce employee, which was again sort of a dream come true. So starting somewhere, just beginning into Salesforce and start working for Salesforce is probably one of the big things that I achieved. And then eventually, last year, I launched my own consulting firm, and now I'm actually providing direct consulting services in US and Canada market. Along with that, since I started my journey in Salesforce, which is probably more relevant for you guys, I also started a training program. I used to train admin certification and also mentorship program in Salesforce. And I did that for about 4 years. I took a break last year because of my engagement launching my own company, and got a little bit more caught up on that. However, more recently, things are settling down a little bit. We have a little bit better outlook, and now we are in a little bit more control. So I thought maybe it's a good time to restart the mentorship program, maybe associated training programs as well. And we will take it from there and see how it evolves. So this time, again, I would, as I mentioned, that I have a slightly different program. In the past, I used to actually train Salesforce admin trainings, which is like 6-week sessions, about a month and a half long, 6 to 7 classes, actually walk through each steps. And at the end of it, you can able to learn admin certification, and then you can sit in the exam and get certified. However, this time I will try to make a little bit of change and see if we can guide more than a lot of people so that they can able to learn on their own pace. However, we can create a support program for them so that they can able to achieve this, and we can able to help more large number of people across the board who are looking to either enter into Salesforce, or they may be struggling finding a job in Salesforce, or maybe they are expert vetted Salesforce consultant and they are just looking for better opportunities. So we will try to cater all of above different type of categories. So with that, I will go ahead and also share my screen so I can keep a check on the different topics. So can somebody let me know if you guys can see a PowerPoint presentation on my screen? Perfect. All right. So these are a couple of the topics that I would like to go through today. So the fundamental question, which we will start with, what is the goal of this program? What is this Salesforce mentorship program? Is it for you? You obviously you want to see if it aligned with your goals or not. Next, we will talk about building a success mindset. What does it really mean? And I'll talk a little bit more about it. Then we will move on to the actual different type of members that can participate in this program. The follow-up will be what is the actual Salesforce ecosystem. And again, this may be more helpful for somebody who is more joining. If you're already working in Salesforce, you may have a better idea. But however, it could be a good refresher. Then we will move on to the actual Salesforce role. I believe this is one of the very critical topic, which is topic number 5, because even the folks who are in Salesforce, sometimes they don't really understand that they can able to excel in different roles based on their background or personalities. But most of the time they're stuck to their roles for longer than they should be. And there are always ways that you can switch different roles within the Salesforce ecosystem and maybe become more successful, maybe achieve better positions, maybe achieve and do something that maybe a little bit more resonate with your personality, and that can help you progress a little bit faster. Then we will jump into a different programs that I'm anticipating that we can launch. Again, there are 3 main categories that I think on a very high level. Number 1 is the learners, which is, so we will have people who are just starting Salesforce. Maybe they have started on their own, maybe learning through Trailhead, maybe learning through different Udemy courses, whatnot. So there will be different programs more specifically for those entry-level learners. Then we will have a little bit more advanced programs for folks who are already certified. They may have 1 or more certifications, but they are yet to find their first entry-level job in Salesforce. They may have already experience through other positions in the past. However, either you are entering into the workforce now, or you have an experience, but you are entering into Salesforce ecosystem for the very first time. In either case, we will try to see if we can get you maybe an entry-level job, or for folks who are more experienced, try to see if we can match something based on their experience so that they don't need to really start from entry-level jobs. And the third sort of programs are more for the experienced people. So for example, you're already in the Salesforce ecosystem, you have 1, 2, 3, 5 or more years of experience. How you can be get advantage from this program is we will show you a couple of items for you that might be helpful for you. Either that could be in shape of finding better jobs, maybe working directly for US or Canada-based organizations, maybe are looking for immigration programs and see if you can find a job. So a lot of these things will come up as well. So these are the high-level topics. So I'll try to go through all of them in today's session. And then this sessions, I will try to have more every Sunday if possible. Again, if there are any holidays and stuff, we'll skip. But other than that, we can try to be every Sunday if possible, 2-hour sessions. And then we'll have different subcategories of these programs. And obviously, we will take it one by one. So let's start with the goal of this program. So what is the actual goal of this program and how I envision it? So the main purpose for this program is to first of all build an interactive community. Salesforce itself is a very, very interactive community, and I just want to build something upon it because I have experience and I've worked in different diverse environments, and I probably myself never come across any other community which is so interactive, so supportive, and there are so many opportunities that you can avail. So Salesforce community is very interactive. You can find wherever you are, doesn't matter in wherever part of the world, you may have local events, you can have local workshops, you can have in-person meetings, you can have different dreaming events. So we just had like a Salesforce big yearly event happen in San Francisco a couple of weeks back. Then we have different other programs from Salesforce official in different areas, different regions, not just in US, but pretty much every part of the world, as well as there are local communities who have different sort of events. So that is already a very knit community, and we want to leverage that concept and take it to the next step. And in terms of how we can leverage that, I will give a little bit more detail when we get to that point, but some of these will be how we can help provide more training courses or identify the training courses which are probably best to pick up, because again, as a new person, if you're getting into Salesforce mentorship program or Salesforce ecosystem, a lot of time we can get overwhelmed because there's so much material. You can bombard it with a lot of different resources, maybe free courses, paid courses. There might be different organization training groups, training classes, both paid and unpaid. And a lot of time, a lot of people struggle that exactly what is the right path. Should I go for a paid training? Should I go for a free training? Should I just go and buy a Udemy course? Should I just use a YouTube channel? And a lot of time we try to do like a mix and match of everything. Maybe we are looking to some free YouTube videos. Maybe we buy, a Udemy course. Some of you who are more focused, they might actually get more paid training programs. So the purpose of this one is try to help you navigate that journey and help you to see what are the areas and what are the different programs you can pick. Again, the purpose of this program is not to replace all of those. All of those are definitely needed. We will just try to leverage those available resource and try to make sure that you are stepping in a right direction, and we can help you and guide you along the way. So the main purpose of this program is, again, it's a mentorship program, not necessarily a pure training program. So there's a difference between the mentorship and training. And just to be more elaborate, is not necessarily we will have a sessions where I'm going to go through like admin training that I used to do, pick up each topic and explain it and things like that. We may skip that piece because there are so many resources already available. And if we keep repeating that, we may not able to get to a point what we are trying to do. So what we will do instead is we will try to utilize those available resources, and we will try to build a small group of students where we can take some volunteers from within the group who already have Salesforce certifications. Maybe they are already working in the industry and they want to dedicate just a couple of hours a week in order to probably lead a group of freshers or a group of people who wants to learn and get certified. We can take help from them, and then we can set up these community across the board. We can start with 5 or 10 members per group, and then again, those people who stick long enough. Again, I have done these sessions a lot in the past, and unfortunately, it starts from a really big group and it end up in a very small community, which is fine. That's okay. Maybe your goals are not aligned, which is fine, and you just want to check it out. How does it align with your goals? And if it does, then obviously you will stick to the program. But again, we will try to make sure whoever stick with this program till the last, we can able to make sure that they able to achieve their goals, and that's the main purpose. So it's more of a mentorship program, a guidance program, rather than an actual hands-on training. However, we will try to, as I said, we will try to have smaller groups, and we will try to get some volunteers within this community. There are a lot of people who already stepped up and who are experienced Salesforce consultants, and they said, we are ready to do the volunteer work for you. And again, it may only take I would say 2 to 3 hours a week of your time, where you can have like a sessions, maybe guide a little bit, and then just answer their questions where they're stuck, and that can expedite the process. In terms of actually what we are looking, as I mentioned, different training programs. Again, we may even launch some programs, but the main goal is to get an interactive sessions. Once you have that, then we also try to do some other sessions or different things which will help you to get a job. Because again, at the end of this whole program or training or any of those things is one which is how to help you land a job, or if you are already on a job, how to improve your current status. Maybe if you're a developer and you are trying to become an architect, how can we help you? How can we guide you so that you know your milestones that you need to achieve in a very specified time frame? And you know that if I touch these 4 or 5 milestones, it will be clear my next step to become an architect. Or if you are, let's say, if you're a business analyst, you want to become a project manager or a program manager, what I need to do, what are the different tools that I need to learn, different technologies that I need to learn, or different processes I need to learn to actually become a project manager. What are the certifications that can be helpful? Same thing coming back, if you are giving interviews, rather it's your first job interview, or you're already a 10-year-old Salesforce consultant and you're trying to give an interview to your next job, in all of these cases, mentorship is very helpful, because if we can help each other, and again, this program is not just kind of run by me. I may not able to really honestly help each and everybody, but if we can have volunteers that can help me and build a community, then we can all help each other. So that's the main goal. Same thing, how you can have your LinkedIn updates, different capstone projects, so that if you already done your certification, maybe you already completed your course, it's always helpful to create a different smaller projects, because that you will be doing in your actual actual job environment, so you can start getting a feel of it and you can start learning in the best way. Same thing, once you have completed your training, you got your certification, one of the biggest challenge, and again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, is how to actually land your first job. So that's a very, very tricky position, and especially with what we are entering into it, which is probably a cold season for technical jobs, as you can already know. How to navigate that, how we can still be motivated and still work towards a certain goal, so that you can able to end up finding a well-paid job in a Salesforce ecosystem. So for that, there could be some intermediate milestones that you need to achieve, and internships play a pretty vital role in those. I would pretty much say that 90% of my students who end up getting really good job, and now they become either junior or senior consultants across in different part of the world. They go through this internships programs through different organizations. And again, same thing is I provide mentorship that you can achieve the goal for getting internships in this certain steps. And once they follow those steps, I would say 90% of them able to achieve their internships. Those internships lead them to enter into the actual paid workforce and able to get some of the really cool jobs with some of the very nice silver, gold, platinum partners. Also, for experienced consultant, as I mentioned, that again, if they are doing volunteership for us, they're helping us to run this program as a good gesture. What we can also do is we can help them elevate their positions. We can help them see if we can provide better job opportunities for them. I work directly with a lot of organizations, and a lot of time I come across requirement where they're looking for different senior developers, architects, consultants. And if we are working with some of those people in our group, obviously, I would be happy to forward their resumes, help them to push forward and see if we can help them. Again, this is not, just to be very clear, I'm not running any placement company. So I don't have a lot of jobs sitting with me. But again, the main purpose is to enable you, to give you all the tools that you can go out in an open market and able to find a job. Because if somebody can maybe push you for your first job, what are the chances that you can even survive that first job? And even if you don't survive that first job, how about to find a second job or a third job? Or if you so the goal is to have those techniques built into your resume, built into your personality, that finding a job become your second nature, and you can easily able to find better opportunities on your own. So these are some of the high level goals. Moving on to the next point, and again, I will dedicate last 30 minutes or so, if possible, for questions. So if you want, you can start scratching some questions on your own, and once the time comes up, feel free to start putting those questions already in the chat, and then I will try to start answering those questions as we complete the view. Now, moving on to the next point, which is building a success mindset. So I can understand that when we talk about trainings, when we talk about mentorship programs, the goal is, okay, how can I get a job? How can I become very successful? How can I get this course very quickly done? Is there a shortcut? And you will be presented with a lot of different sort of opportunities. A lot of time, different companies and different agencies can promise you, like, we can give you job 100% guaranteed if you can do this. However, in my experience, there are possibilities. However, a lot of these will take a longer route, to be honest, and you might need to go through a lot of maybe you are not representing the way you have expertise. I know a lot of organizations will ask you to put 5 or 10 years of Salesforce experience, and then somehow they try to defend it. They might put other people in place of your interviews. I'm not going to judge anybody, but if this works for you, that's fine. But if you are looking for a more straight path, if you want to really learn and become successful on your own, this is the program that might be more suited for you. So in my case, I am not trying to cut corners. This is not a shortcut program. And I will actually give you a very specific timelines, what it takes for somebody who is starting their career to actually land a job based on the experience that I have working with other consultants in the past who started there from non-technical background and with technical background both. So I'll share some of the success stories with you as well. However, again, as I said, I'm not going to talk about those different programs. However, the main goal for our program is to build that mindset. So in starting those mindset, when I come across and when I look back and see some of the success stories, especially in my case, so far, I may have trained more than 250 students and a good percentage. Again, I don't able to catch up everybody who end up getting a job, but those who are still connected to me and I know they got a job and I see their progress and they periodically update their success stories with me. Either they got a new job or they got a promotions or things of that nature. A lot of students are kind enough to kind of update me because that also helped me to understand what is working and what is not working. So a lot of them, what I really think when I see their success is one thing was very common. They have a very precise reason why they are doing it. And it might sound weird to you, but to be honest, in order to be very successful in something in a short period of time, you need to have a very strong reason. So I can tell you a couple of examples that may or may not resonate, but probably give you a point of view that I have, and it could be totally my point of view as well. I come across a couple of women who are very, very strong, and they are going through a certain situations in their life. Again, I don't want to get into the details, but they were really looking to become financially independent for their personal reasons, and they were very, very focused in order to get on their feet as soon as possible. In that way, they are very focused and they are ready to put everything they have in terms of time, money, and energy in order to get to the point. And this is something very, very necessary for them. That is one scenario. Another scenario, I also come across people who are very goal oriented and they were looking to become very successful. They want to make a lot of money, not just for themselves, but also for their families. They have kids, wife, parents, and they want to support them and they want to become very successful in life, but they are really hungry. They are ready to put every ounce of energy that they have, and they are not, again, not looking for cut corners. So one of that person I can tell you, which is again, I'm not recommending anybody, I'm just sharing you what he did. And to be honest, I normally look back to him and I usually used to ask him, this is too much, you might, burn yourself, try to see if you can have a balance. But again, this young kid was very passionate and he spent, I would say, 70-80% of his hours that he have in 24 hours in this thing, which make him very successful. And he started from basically not working in any field, doing some freelancing, making a very small amount of money, to actually migrate it to a foreign country with a very good package with the immigration under 3 years. Again, same thing. He was very, very focused. He spent a lot of time. At some point in time, he was doing 2 to 3 jobs together, doing some projects on a side, have a full-time job, have another project. And sometimes it just boggles my mind how you can work like 15, 16, 17 hours a day, and even sometimes on weekends. And he used to do that. But again, as I said, this is like an extreme example. Not everybody has to do that. However, the main purpose of saying that, do you have that mindset? Are you really ready to be successful? And if you do, what is your reason? What are you looking for? If you're just looking for a regular job, that's a purpose, good enough. However, are you ready to sacrifice for that? Are you ready to sacrifice your basically your day-to-day activities for that? Are you ready to put time aside in order to do that? And again, to be very honest, attending the calls, attending these sessions, meeting with people is all cool. You meet with people, you spend the time, but as soon as you start working on these, start learning something, it just becomes really, really boring. To be very honest, it's not a fun process. Learning and is not a fun process, but the fun starts when you become successful, when you start making good money, when you start utilizing that skill set that you just adopt to get to the next level. So you can also set up your own success criteria. What is the success criteria you're looking for? Do you have something in mind? Do you want to make a certain amount of money? Do you want to have some other uh, goals in mind? Do you want to go to another country? Do you want to build your own consulting firm? Whatever the goal is, if you can set up some goals and a success criteria, that can help you to move forward, and you can set up different milestones. Because if you have a success criteria, I want to make that amount of money, you may not just work towards that. You might need to create different milestones that can help you achieve. So instead of having like a really big goal, you can set up a big goal, a big dream, but then you can have like a small steps to achieve that, because those small steps are very achievable. You can set a time frame, and if you are losing time, you know that you are losing, so you can be a little bit more proactive and try to achieve those. Next point I mentioned here is all in and all out mentality. So what I've seen, again, same thing is my personal experience. I could be very wrong, but what I've seen that a lot of people, they just try to see if something works without spending enough energy. And they're just trying to see, okay, I can register to this course, maybe I can spend some time, maybe I can just go through it. And hopefully once I complete the course, I can just get a job. Just to let you know, that's not going to work. And especially with this time now, that's not going to work unless you're super lucky. In that case, you can even go for a lottery. Maybe you can win a lottery, you might have better chances. But if you are not really serious about it, if you're not ready to spend time and money and energy and passion, it may or may not work. You might be wasting your time and energy. Rather, you can do something else which you feel like you can able to do better. So you really need to have that mentality that, okay, I have done my research. I have looked into AWS. I have looked into Google Cloud. I have looked into other type of jobs. I've looked into sales job. I've looked into everything, and looks like Salesforce is something that I want to do. You can take whatever time you need to decide it, but once you decide it, then when you start it, don't roll back. Don't say, oh, it's not interesting enough, because as soon as you start, all that energy will start sucking up into actually working and learning. And that is very, very boring, to be honest. So if you're looking for an easy exit, as soon as you start working, you hit few roadblocks, you're like, oh, you know what, this is not for me. Maybe I can go for the next shiny thing. And again, it may definitely is not going to work for you. Next thing is, to me, if what I seen from students, what works is those people who don't look back. So for example, if somebody has decided, I want to start this course, I want to learn, don't look back till you become a consultant, you start having a good job. And then if you want to do something else, if you want to actually switch or whatever, you can do that. But it means that if you are waiting to be, if you are kind of failing and you are switching, it means that you are not putting your enough effort, and you are missing something out. It's not about the technology. It doesn't even matter if it is Salesforce or something else. But if you're not getting very successful in that and then quitting before, most of the time it's basically you're not able to handle the pressure, you're not able to put the enough energy, and you are just finding an excuse just to move out and try something else. So you basically are wasting all that energy, time, what you have spent, even if it is taking the trainings or whatever that is. In terms of investment, keep in mind that you have always two type of investment, right? And most of the time we always overlook, and probably you may understand that later in your life, that there are two types of investment: time and money. Most of the time when you're young, you may not really understand the value of time, but you may understand the value of money. So if somebody's asking for this course for $1,000, you might say, oh, this is too expensive, but I can spend like 3 months if it is for free and no problem, I can do that. I don't want to spend that money, or maybe you don't have that kind of money, right? That's fine too. However, keep in mind that money and time are interchangeable. You can always make more money. You can always, if you lose money, there is always an opportunity that within a one jump, you can make an excess amount of money, but there is no way you can regain the time that you already spent. So if you're spending 6 months or something learning, and all of a sudden you said, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, let's switch, and I want to do something else, keep in mind you waste 6 months of your life, and there is no way you can get it back. No matter what you do, you're in a loss. And later in the time, you realize that that may be worth a lot of money in terms of, if you want to calibrate in terms of money, because you can always make more money in a short span of time, but there is no way you can regain the time that you have lost. So whenever you are learning something, you are investing two types of assets. You are investing with your time, and you are investing with your money. Sometimes you pay money to expedite the process so you can spend minimum time in learning and you can get the maximum output. And this is basically the trade-off. So a lot of time, if you go through a course, maybe you can get to direct Salesforce trainings or anything else. Maybe they're asking a lot of money, but if they are um, giving you a better output and you feel like this is more, you can able to get quick success and they have proven records, then I would say that's a good investment. Because always think of your career as a business, right? How do you start a business? There is no business that you will go and ask that, okay, I can make money and then I can invest on my money. In 95% of the business, you have to invest money upfront. Then you try to improve your offerings, whatever that is, even it's a shop or a consulting. And then once you start getting the business, then you can start making money. So there is an investment upfront, but if you are sure that it will work out for you, and the only way you are sure is if you're ready to all in and you can invest your time and money, there is no doubt that you will not get the benefit. You will get the benefit, and I've seen that time and time again. And I can say that with like 200% surety that if you put your mind to it, there is no reason you cannot get it. It may take shorter or longer depending upon the circumstances, depending on individual, depending upon the environment we are living in, but you will get the success if you stick to it. All right, with that, moving on to the next one, what are the different types of members that I'm looking for? So on a very high level, I have divided those levels, those memberships into like three main levels. So first one is like trainees, somebody who's just starting in Salesforce, learning it with no certifications, right? Or with certifications, but they don't have any actual experience. They are not working as a Salesforce consultant. All of them, either you have a certification or not, but you don't have an actual Salesforce job, or you've never worked as a Salesforce job, then I will all consider you all as a trainees, that you are kind of in a process of learning. It doesn't matter that you are learning actual course or you are learning how to get a job, but you are in a learning phase. The second tier that I have put together is a lead. Again, as I mentioned, I'm looking for volunteers who can help run this program. So I will have a couple of leads if whoever is ready to volunteer, and then I will assign a couple of trainees to them. And what they do is maybe they set up 2 or 3 calls per week where they can just help them to answer their open questions. Like, I'm trying to do this, I'm stuck here. Just tell them. And most of these are very basic admin level questions. So if you have worked in Salesforce for 6 months to 1 year and you feel comfortable that you can able to help them, please let me know. And then we can able to match one lead with members based upon how many we have. Ideally, I'm looking for that if I have enough leads, I can have 4 to 5 members or trainees under each lead, and then we can guide them and they can able to learn from them. And these volunteers, again, they may or may not be very expert. They may be working in the industry for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, not too expert, but anybody who think they're comfortable enough in their shoes to program. And again, you don't need to be perfect. We have other mentors. And again, you stuck somewhere, you can always take help from somebody more senior to you. So it's not something we are evaluating or anything of that nature. It's just something, if you have that courage, if you want to help a fellow person. And again, to be honest, it helped you as well. Because when I first started, when I started this training program, to be honest, the reason was for me to learn. And the best way to learn for myself is when I start teaching to other people. Because when I start teaching to other people, now I need to cover not from a single perspective, but students can ask any questions. They may have different scenarios. So I need to really well prepared for each of them. And that pushed me very hard to learn more, and not just enough that I can execute my day-to-day jobs, but beyond that. And that helped me to become what I am today. So I always prefer that I always be teaching or training or mentoring all the time, because it always show my weaknesses, always show where I'm lacking, and I try to fill them up as quick as possible. So these are the second type of tier, which are leads. I would say anybody who has like less than 5 years of experience or even more, and if they want to do that, that would be awesome. And then the third tier is expert. Anybody who's like 5 years and above have experience, they can be experts, and they can maybe manage and help some of the leads. Maybe they can run some of their own programs with us. And then we can see what other things we can offer in future. These experts can be running programs for specific clouds. Again, we are just launching this program, but I have a lot of different goals in future. So for example, I want to launch some very specific cloud performance, cloud-based programs. For example, there are more niche areas in Salesforce, for example, as a CPQ. So it's a very specific cloud, very high in demand, very less people knows it, but we have a lot of amazing people who can teach and train. Marketing cloud is another area which has its own 4 or 5 certifications. So we can train people to become like an expert in the marketing cloud, and it will help them to get jobs much quicker. Then there are a couple of government clouds. So if you are a US resident, if you're in US, if you learn some of those Gov Cloud programs, that again, it may help you to get some of the government positions, because government is always looking people with technical skills, where the Salesforce implementation is going on, and so on and so forth. So these experts can help us to, we can leverage those to add on a couple of more specific programs, and they can also help the leads. And then we will see how it goes. Again, it all depends upon the membership and support that we can get from the community. Now, getting into what is the Salesforce ecosystem, right? So again, this can be more helpful for somebody who is just starting, but in order to make sure we can cater all of the different audience, I'll just give a very high level view of what is Salesforce ecosystem and how what are you getting into yourself. So Salesforce is basically a SaaS platform. So you may have seen or heard a lot of time people talk about custom development, right? And then there is a SaaS platform, and then there is a PaaS platform. So the custom development is something like if you learn Python, or if you know in old times like C language or any other language like Java, you can build a program from scratch, and you write everything as a code, and you can build a full system. So let's say if you want to build a library system, right? You can able to pick a pick a language, let's say Java, and you can actually build the whole tool using the Java language, understanding what they need. But you need to basically literally construct every component of it, and you can build a tool which you can imagine take a lot of time. Now, in order to expedite this process, now think of different banks, different big systems, different pharmaceutical companies, operations like similar to big e-commerce companies. Their system, their operations are so huge. So typically in the past, when they try to build some of these systems, and even today it still happens, that when they try to build these systems, that takes a very long time. We are talking about multiple years. Sometime it might take 5 to 10 years to build a full platform for the services, especially let's say for governments, for big organizations, and then the management and things of that nature. So it typically traditionally used to take a lot of time. That's where this SaaS platform comes in, which means that now they can able to create sort of a system for you, so you can able to use different built-in components. So they create different components already, and you can connect a lot of these components to actually launch the application much faster. So SaaS stands for software as a service, which means that, for example, Salesforce, what Salesforce did is they create the whole environment, they create different features, they create actual flow, and then they give you a capability to customize it according to your organization need, which means that you're not building a software from scratch. It is already built in, the data model is there, the lot of different libraries and functions and the way you create different operations or processes are there. You just need to set them up one time according to your organization and you are good to go. So for example, if a typical software that you're building takes 6 months to a year, using Salesforce Eco System, you can reduce it to maybe a month or less based upon how quick you want to do it. So it will drastically reduce the go-to-market time. And that's why these SaaS platforms become very, very popular in the last 20 years. And again, if you still need a very precise or very niche system, you can, we still have Java developers, we still have a lot of these other platforms, so you can go ahead and do that. But the market has seen that 60 to 70% of the businesses do not need that kind of a very specified tools to be built just for them, and they are very common business processes across the board. For example, like nonprofits, like pretty much I would say 70-80% of the nonprofits work in a very similar way, right? They have very similar processes, similar things, similar way of collecting donations, similar way of volunteer management, similar way of collecting donations on their website. So instead of each of them going out building their own system, they can utilize a SaaS platform like Salesforce. And again, Salesforce is not the only platform. There are a lot of other CRM systems and other platforms that you can use, but we are just going to use Salesforce as an example for today. So you can use those platforms, and instead of building or building from scratch or from scratch, you can just use this system, and your go-to-market or going live time will be reduced. And then it can also help you to enhance the features faster than you can think. So today you are just starting with the CRM system. Tomorrow you said, I want to also integrate my marketing system. Day after tomorrow, you also want to integrate your service system, and so on and so forth. So Salesforce and similar platforms can help you very quickly scale up. Same thing in terms of number of users. Today, your business have, let's say, 1,000 customers. Next year, you become double. 2-3 years down the road, you become like 10x. If you are, again, same thing, if you build a custom system, sometimes the scaling up become challenging because the way you have designed the database and things of that nature, or a hardware, if you're using servers and things of that sort, can become challenging, and it just constant work. In terms of Salesforce, the scaling up is pretty steady. You don't need to worry about it. All you need to do is, if you have more people joining your company, you can buy more licenses, or you can actually buy more space and then just expand, and that can help companies not to worry about the infrastructure and system. They can just focus on growing and providing the services or products that they have to the market. The second thing you need to understand is the Salesforce ecosystem is now a very big ecosystem. Salesforce is not confined to just one product or a vertical or a certain cloud. It basically now have 25 plus or maybe more. I pretty much lost the count of the different clouds that Salesforce have. So now Salesforce is like a really huge ecosystem where they have started with like Sales Cloud. That's why they call it Salesforce. They started with a very basic system where if somebody wants to create a CRM system is abbreviation of customer relationship database management system, customer relationship management database system. So they started with that concept where if you are if you're a company and you want to collect all your customer information, how to store it. That's the basic concept, and that's how the names come from. They started with the Sales Cloud to be precise. However, when they see that now you're already selling and you have all the information and everything, now you also need to provide services, right? So they said, okay, the service model is slightly different. People are actually creating cases, you're resolving, you're assigning it. You also need to learn how quickly they are closing the cases. XYZ. So they come up with a service cloud. Once they come up with a service cloud, then they understand now we need to have different communities. For example, if you if you're using Amazon, you actually sign up and become part of the community. Now you're paying them whatever $10 to $15 a month, but now you can able to log in, you can able to see your history. Or another community example could be your bank. When you actually log in into your bank account, you can able to see all your transactions, you can able to see what you have done. If you have any loans that you're paying off, you can see how many you have paid, and so on and so forth. So when they understand that this thing, which is called kind of a community, now we have a new name, Experience Cloud, is kind of a very useful. So they come up with this community cloud, rename now, and so on and so forth. Then they got into marketing, then they go into government, then they go into different verticals, health, financial, and they just keep creating different clouds. So if you really think about, all of these clouds are nothing but different business processes. So based on different business processes, they created different, like in Salesforce lingo or terminology, basically they start creating different objects, different processes, so that again, instead of you switching or changing the sales cloud model and fit into service cloud and then doing a lot of work, they just created a service cloud which required like a minimum update and ready to go for the service. Same thing if you want to do like a marketing tool, they created Pardot, and they also created Marketing Cloud for B2B and B2C, and then based with a little bit of optimization and the kind of a journeys you need, ready to go, right? So again, the main goal for these SaaS platform and Sales Cloud is to have almost ready, but not ready based on the system to use it today. But basically, it's pretty much ready. The infrastructure is there. All you need to do is just to optimize based on your company process. Again, when I say your company, your customers' company processes, and you will be those folks who will be optimizing for them as a Salesforce consultant, and they are ready to go. So that brings me to my third point, which is vertical and industry. I am coming from, just to give an example, that I'm coming from a telecommunication industry. When I was working and I spent 12 plus years, I have actually a master's degree in telecommunication. However, when I was looking into my scope, it was kind of limited to just my own vertical, which is telecom. So in US today, I would say we are reduced to maybe 4 or 5 operators who provide wireless services. It used to be 10, 15 back in the time when I started, maybe 20 or more. And then there were like maybe 10, 20 different vendors out there in the past. Now they're also confined to like 4 or 5 big vendors in the market. So I have seen that shift, that we were coming from a big system in a telecommunication, but again, it was a very, very focused, very niche area, very niche vertical. And the only jobs I can get is either with a wireless operator, or I can get with the vendor, and that's pretty much it. If I want to get a job in any other domain like federal, very limited or almost none positions. I cannot even think about going anywhere else. For example, there's a lot of demand in always there's always a lot of demand in like healthcare system. There's always a lot of demand in accounting firms, like financial systems. There are a lot of demand in other type of verticals, and I was always like kind of a fascinated that these different environments has a lot of demands, and there's a ways that my personality suits better to work with them, but I'm kind of stuck in my role and in my vertical because now I'm this very focused technical or functional but very focused thing. Salesforce, when I was exploring different platform, and I did explore a lot of platforms before selecting Salesforce, and again, that's my personal choice. No offense to any other platform, they're all amazing. They make a lot of money. They are amazing, and we need a lot of those platforms even to run Salesforce. So I was actually looking like Google platform as well as AWS. So these three were my at that point in time, 5-6 years back, my three main areas that I was focusing. Google was just coming up, building their own cloud system. So I thought maybe, yeah, even at that time, I mean, I think now when I look back, AWS was kind of a very early on at that time, but obviously now it's even bigger platform. But even back then, there was a lot of AWS consultant, but very limited Google, and they were very quickly capturing the market. I thought if I want to go in a cloud route, maybe the Google might be better. It's kind of newer, maybe less competition, maybe get better chances to get in. And then I just stumble upon Salesforce accidentally, and when I look into that, I love it because it gives me an opportunity to work across verticals. So what it means is, just to give you my own company example, which is Unboxx Technologies, we have clients from healthcare, we have clients from nonprofits, we have clients from federal, we have clients for small and medium business, we have a clients from um, from e-commerce business, we have a retail clients, you name it. I mean, even we are such a small company, and we cover like 5 or 6 different verticals. So imagine, because every company or nonprofit, they need a CRM system and some sort of CRM system. And most of them, if you're small enough, they start with Google Sheets, right? Which is a pretty typical story. And again, to be honest, I work with a couple of government organizations, and they also start working with Excel or Google Sheets. And once they become big and it's not workable anymore, they said, okay, now it's time, we need to move on and adopt some sort of more sophisticated system, because we are losing our valuable data, we are losing time, we are losing doing a lot of manual stuff. It's not sustainable. Let's move on. So it's like a very typical story we always heard from different clients who are moving from none system to Salesforce. But a lot of time we also have clients who are moving from other CRM systems to Salesforce, because now they're expanding. And obviously Salesforce is one of the only system which can expand beyond anybody else, and very intuitive, and you can do a lot of customization and whatnot. So long story short is, basically, if you have experience in any of the industry, you will always see is beneficial. For example, if you work for a bank, or if you're a healthcare worker, or if you work for a clinic, or you are in like marketing, or you are in sales, or you name it, pretty much you can able to kind of use that leverage that you have from your background. And then when you enter into Salesforce, when you have ready to kind of launch your career, you can kind of focus in that vertical, because you can bring a lot of experience from that knowledge, which is in some time we call it SME, like subject matter expert. So you have a lot of subject matter knowledge and expertise. Now when you couple that with the Salesforce knowledge, you can able to basically get a lot of you can able to get a lot of leverage. So just to make it long story short, is like it works in a different verticals. And if you are looking for something that can basically help you take advantage of your background, Salesforce could be one of the areas. Moving on, this is one of the very critical topic. And again, I think I want to spend a little bit more time on this, because this is very, very important, not just for entry level, but also for senior consultants. Even it was helpful for me back then. Salesforce roles. So there's a kind of obviously limited knowledge out there that when you join Salesforce, what are the different roles you can do? And again, you may heard of admin most of the time, or maybe you heard of developers. But a lot of time, I would say 99% of the time, if you're new to Salesforce system, you may not understand that there are different roles that you can either get from the get-go, or even you can target and eventually achieve those roles. So there are different roles. Let me walk you through what are the different roles. Again, these are not all the roles, but I just pick up some of the key roles that you can think of. There are some other like a data specific roles, integration roles. So that keep moving on, but I'm just gonna kind of covering some of the very basic ones that you feel like might helpful to from the starting point. So admins, again, admin is somebody who basically just do like a basic administration of Salesforce. So for example, if a nonprofit or a company adopts Salesforce, typically they work with a partner like us, Unboxx Technologies, or they work with maybe freelancers, or they maybe have somebody in their team who knows Salesforce and they can build a system for them. So that is called the implementation process. So first time you buy Salesforce licenses, and either with a partner or freelancers or with your team, with the help of your team, you build a system based on your requirements. If you have some historical data, you import all the data and you set everything ready to go. Everybody get their licenses, everybody get their logins, and then they start using the system. Now, in order to maintain the system, because a lot of people will be, leaving the company, joining the company, so you might need people to release their licenses, add licenses. You also have some executives that they don't have enough time to create their reports or dashboards. You may also need to do some basic maintenance. When people start using, they might start facing some issues, things of that nature, like a smaller issue, something stop working, or some basic enhancements, like some basic flows and stuff like that. So a lot of these kind of activities are handled by admins, right? And admin is almost like a very basic entry level position. There used to be a lot of admin positions in the past. Now they're reducing and diminishing with the with the time, and they are replaced more by Salesforce consultants. And I will give you a differentiation between the admins and Salesforce consultants, but at least from the admin point of view, you may still require to be get admins. And again, their positions are low now, but there's still some positions out there. So you can always target those positions if you're entering into the system. And again, they are more for entry level positions. In some cases, if you become an admin of a big organization, that could be a position that you may call yourself as a Salesforce consultant, but the main role is the same. However, because you're managing sort of a bigger organization, is the role becomes very critical, very sensitive. And again, I'm not talking about is it like in terms of monetary, is it low or high pay? Because again, if you're that always driven by your role, so even let's say you are an admin, but you can call yourself Salesforce consultant, but you're managing a big organization, you may be charging a good salary, right? So it all depends upon your role, what value you are providing, and your contributions will reflect in your salary. So I will probably see if I have some time, I'll talk about different salary propositions as well, because I know this is one of the favorite questions, that how much can I get, what I'm looking at, things of that nature. So I'll try to answer that as soon as I go through some of the critical items. But anyways, next in line is developers. As I said, in most cases, you are doing the setup, in setting anything in Salesforce without writing a new code. All of that comes under a terminology which we call configuration, which means that you're not writing a code, you're not writing a line of code, but you are still making up new processes, doing a lot of things, but they all come under a configuration piece. So there are very enhanced ways of in Salesforce that you can do configurations. And most of the time, it is being thought that, oh, you are just an admin to do configuration, but that's not true, because you can be a very experienced Salesforce consultant and you're still doing configuration, because the challenge is with Salesforce have 3 releases per year, right? So let's say you have a sales cloud, you're working in your organization, you have a sales cloud. There are 3 times a year, there are new features, new enhancement comes up. Now, if you are an active Salesforce consultant, this will be your primary responsibility. So every time there's a new release comes up, you go through those release notes, you understand, you practice, and you make sure you know how this works. And then when the time comes, you can utilize that knowledge and maybe update your existing processes utilizing the new features or enhancement which are there. Now that becomes a very periodic way. So that could be something that you're utilizing, and you're still not bringing a new code to the system, but you're still utilizing all the new features available. However, there are instances, and there are a lot of instances where the basic configuration does not work, because the requirement is such that it cannot be achievable by the basic configuration. So that's where you need to have developers who actually write a code within Salesforce using Salesforce own language. And then there are developers who can do both backend and front end. Sometimes same person can do both. Sometimes you need a specialized person for a front end, somebody more specialized at the back end. Together or single person can able to do those changes and you can deploy. So that's why developers, obviously they need to have a coding background. At least they know how to code any coding language. As long as they know how to do a coding, they can become a Salesforce consultant. If you know C language, Java, Python, as long as you have the basic coding knowledge, or if you want to become a developer and you don't have it, your first step is to just learn any coding language, understand the concepts, and then once you have that basic knowledge, then you can become a Salesforce developer as well. Again, Salesforce developers are always high in demand, you can imagine, because they are the ones who are doing a lot of changes. And again, if they make any changes, if something goes wrong, they are the only ones who can fix them as well. So it means that not only you need a developer to build new functionalities, but something goes wrong and it being utilized, previous developer or somebody else developed something, you again need a developer to troubleshoot that. In most cases, an admin or a consultant cannot able to get into a code and fix it. So developers are always in demand. If you have any organization, if you're working somewhere where somebody have written a code or you have written a code, they always need a developer no matter what. They may skip admin, they may skip QAs, they may even skip project managers, they may skip business analysts, but what they cannot skip is developer, because developer you always need at the end of the day to get into the code and fix the code. There will be different developers who can able to kind of wear different hats, and if on a smaller system they can become more like an admin because they already know what to do. They can just QA their own code. If there is a small team and company do not want to spend more money on different roles, and they can run their own projects as well. So developers itself is somebody who can actually run the show if needed. However, other roles are most of the time dependent upon the technical skills. However, on a mid-size or bigger projects, you do need a team, and they have very distinct roles because Salesforce become very complicated as soon as you start expanding, and each of these roles are very specialized and you need them. So it's not necessarily, don't take that as a negative, or don't take that understanding that, oh, developer can do everything. Not true. Yes, on a smaller system, on a very basic rudimentary systems, yes, but as soon as you have like even like any tangible system, you need different roles in order to execute and maintain a system. QA, as you can imagine, you need QAs who are quality assurance. They run the tests, they do it. However, used to be everything done manually in the past. So for example, if a new feature is built, you have QA who comes in and who try to use the system as a user, try to find bugs. However, more recently, for the past couple of years, that also requires some sort of technical expertise in most cases, if not all, which means that now there are different tools who can do automated testing. And you need to kind of learn those tools in order to become a QA person, so that you can able to do the QA test. You can set up the test, which will run overnight or over a period of days or time, and then give you results. Then you analyze it. And then on top of it, you do some manual testing as well. But in most cases, at least what I've seen, it is the market is shifting, and it used to be very non-technical people who have no coding background can easily find a QA job. I'm feeling like the market is shifting. Now they are also looking for folks who can able to do some basic coding, at least write some queries, have some basic understanding, able to fix it, able to understand it, and able to at least use those automated tools. So this is QA. Business analyst is again a very unique position. So business analyst is a person who have a sort of a little bit of technical knowledge, but he needs to have a really good communication skills. So if you are a person, maybe you are in sales or marketing or whatever background you have, where you are communicating with people and you are good at it, you are very confident, business analysts are probably something that you cannot avoid in Salesforce system. And just to give you an example, what business analysts can do is whenever you are, let's say my team is working with a client, we've signed up a new client and we want to build a Salesforce system for them. Business analyst is a person who talk to their stakeholders, try to understand what are they trying to do. Now, if you do not have Salesforce understanding and knowledge, you can imagine that that person cannot able to do the good job. So you need to still have a basic Salesforce knowledge. Maybe you may have spent some time in an admin role or some sort of technical role. So you have some basic understanding how actually Salesforce work, what is their database, what are the requirements, what is possible, not possible. You don't need to know everything, but you need to know basics so that you can able to understand the requirements. So basically a QA is a person who bridge between the stakeholders from the client side, understand the information, or at least lead the conversation, understand the requirements, and then create different stories for their technical team to work. And again, take any information or questions from their technical teams and ask those questions back to the client. So he's kind of a middleman between the team, which is technical, and then a non-technical, which is your client. So again, it sounds very interesting. A lot of people are very inclined in business analysts, and I also promote this position a lot because this does not require you to be a developer. This does not require you to be a very technical person, but I would still say it does require you to be a very good communicator. You need to able to lead calls. You need to able to talk to some of key people, key stakeholders from the client side, and then you can able to do a lot of very detailed documentation. So you need to have a good documentation skills. You need to understand how to ask the right questions. You need to understand how to take that questions, how to lead calls, because you normally only have a limited time with the customer. So customer does not let you have unlimited number of calls. It's typically very challenging to have customer teams on calls. So let's say you set up once a week or twice a week call. So let's say you have 2 hours where you can able to understand the requirements. So you need to be very strategic. You need to understand what you need to ask and how to ask. What are the counter questions? Because based on that information, your team will be building Salesforce. Now imagine you are that person and you take information which is not enough. Your team may build something which is not really asked from the customer. And once you start presenting them back, they are like, this is not what we are looking for. So that will cause a lot of challenge. And one of the biggest challenge in Salesforce or similar tools is exactly the same, that we do not have a lot of time overlook this position of business analyst. We have anybody with either different type of experience or maybe no experience in that role. They're not able to capture the right requirements. They pass on not the full requirements to the team. They build something which is not really required by the client. And obviously that derail your projects and cause a lot of confusion. And obviously you need to spend more time and money from the consulting point of view to fix it. And obviously client is losing time in launching their product. So, however, if you are a good communicator, if you're good in taking notes, good documentation skills, and you're ready to learn Salesforce, that would be a really good position to start off. A lot of requirements. You can imagine every single project that we launch, we need a business analyst on it. So if you need a developer, you also need a business analyst, because developers obviously cannot do business development roles, business analyst role, and business analysts cannot do a developer role, and vice versa. So if you need developers, you also need business analysts. So that's why you see a lot of requirement for business analysts. Project manager, same thing. Like if you have running different projects, you need project manager, and their goal is not just for the project to be successful, but also overall projects in terms of budget, time, and quality to be successful. Again, there are a couple of other certifications, different things that you can add to that. And I just remember one other role, which is also pretty common, is a Scrum Master. So a Scrum Master is also like, again, once we get into more details, in Salesforce projects run mostly on agile methodology, and Scrum Master is somebody who leads like a day-to-day scrums. And again, same thing, like if you are a Salesforce Scrum Master, pretty much all of these mid-sized to bigger teams, they all run in a scrums. They need Scrum Master to manage one or two teams, and so on and so forth. And again, that person may not need to be super technical, but technical enough in order to run it. Kind of similar to like a project manager, but they're not responsible for the budgets and stuff. They're more responsible for managing the team's day-to-day tasks and things of that nature. Then you have a Salesforce consultant, which I can also say that they are more like a solution architect. type of thing, that they are not really developers. Like, they can be developers, and a lot of people can generically call themselves a Salesforce consultant, and they can be developer, they can be architect, they can be admins. But I mean, typically the Salesforce consultant mean that you have expertise on certain clouds. You can able to really work on those clouds from the business process perspective, from sketching perspective, configuration perspective. So you can be a sales cloud Salesforce consultant, right? Or a service cloud consultant, or a marketing Salesforce marketing consultant, which means that you have kind of an expertise in certain area. Like, you can be like like if you go like if you want to compare that with the medical, like you have like a journal doctor who can manage all the patients. But if you need a more specialist, then you can go to like a like a special doctor for, like, heart specialist, or child specialist, or so on and so forth. So they can become more specialists. Same thing, I mentioned marketing consultant as well, because marketing is something very unique. And as I mentioned, that Salesforce has about 4 or 5 different certification within marketing. So I have seen a lot of time that there are consultants in Salesforce ecosystem as well, that they do not really know all the other clouds. Like, they don't know about sales and service and all, but they know all about like a marketing cloud which are available in Salesforce, because Salesforce Marketing Cloud was based on another product in the past, and it rolls out down into Salesforce. It was Exact Target, but basically there are a lot of consultants who just focus on marketing cloud expertise, and they have a lot of work in there. They are very specialized, and they just work in those particular clouds. Same thing with nowadays, I say similar thing in like CPQ become a very custom, a very focused area where you can see a lot of CPQ experts, and they just focus on that particular area. Then there is another area which I want to highlight, that it probably looked very light, which is like account executives. So I have seen a lot of people who have very awesome sales background. They probably work in different areas. They might be really good salespeople in maybe some other area, not in technology, right? They are good in selling houses or cars or different products. But they obviously want to switch and get into like Salesforce, a little bit more technical. But if you have that background and somehow you're not ready to give away that experience that you have, because I have heard a lot of people who are in sales, they're saying, I don't want to sell anymore. I just want like a 9 to 5 job, so I don't have any quotas and things like that. I can totally understand it. However, if you are struggling to find an entry-level position in Salesforce, you can still leverage that. So once you get into that particular area, once you start making money, you can always switch your roles and get to a little bit more closer to what you're looking for. But in order to get you enter into the Salesforce, you can also look for sales consultant, account executives. So all of these partners like us or Salesforce, they all need account executive, which means that you are basically helping us to sell either our product if you're working for Salesforce, or if you're working for partners like us who are trying to get consulting or implementation projects. So again, the job is very similar. However, it's based on Salesforce. So again, you need to understand basic clouds. You need to understand how Salesforce work. Who should I reach? And you can able to communicate, bring an interest. And again, if you sell it, it's a very, very lucrative positions as well. You can grow them really fast if you are somebody who enjoys sales and you already have an experience in that. And last but not the least is freelancers. A lot of people these days want to don't tie up themselves with any company. They want to be like free souls, right? And they want to be more like a freelancer, so they can set up their own schedules, own living situations, and own kind of money, whatever they want. Salesforce, if you are an expert, again, I don't recommend freelancers for any entry level, because unless you have enough experience, you cannot become freelancer. I believe freelancer are more suited for somebody who already have some experience. They can do a certain specific jobs, and of course, then you can become more of an independent, and you can start offering your service on different platforms, or become more independent. All right, I think we're moving along pretty good. Another 15 more minutes, and then we can switch for questions. Next one is just getting into a different programs that we want to launch for learners, which are somebody who's ready to learn Salesforce, sort of a first time, or maybe learning on their own, or a Trailhead or Udemy, what we can help with them. So one thing that I'm working on right now, as soon as it's ready, I will probably release that as well, is kind of a, I had, as I mentioned, that I was training Salesforce admin course in the past. I have some videos. I just need to put them together and maybe put it on my YouTube channel, which is Unboxx Learning. I can share that with you as well, but it's not there yet. So once I find those trainings and upload it, I can also share those trainings. So technically, if you have my trainings, or if you actually sign up for any training program for any material, that material should be good enough, right? You don't need to have anything specific as long as you are ready to learn. Now, one thing here I want to mention, which probably could be new for a lot of you guys, but in Salesforce or any other technologies these days, what you're working on, one thing is slightly different than, I would say, past 10 years or before, is in the past, or even this mindset, especially stuck with kind of my generation as well, is like you learn something and you just want to make sure that, okay, if I spend some time learning something, maybe I get some experience. Now I just don't need to learn anymore and I can just utilize based on my experience, right? Unfortunately, that is not the way it works anymore. It's not going to work. And that is why a lot of people are struggling either in their jobs, or they're struggling finding their jobs, because things are moving very fast, right? You order something and you expect that within 24 hours outside your door, right? So you are, instead of going to the market, purchasing it, coming back, whatever, no more. I just order something, I need it next day outside my door. If I'm hungry, I order something, 30 minutes, I need it on my door. I need fresh vegetables, I need fresh fruits, order something, 30 minutes at my door, right? So your expectations are going as a consumer, okay, I need it now, I need it quick, and I need it quality and in a very reasonable price, right? So your expectations are going higher. However, imagine that those businesses who are providing that services, they need to be catch up on technology in order to provide those services. So they need to continuously evolve themselves, better themselves, start using more advanced tools. Something comes up, which means that you are constantly enhancing your platforms. So for example, in the past, I remember it's way back, like you build something, a lot of time, 10 years down the road, you don't do anything. You just basically do like a basic maintenance. If something cracks, you fix it, and that's it. You just sit and watch, right? No more. It doesn't work anymore. And if your organization is doing that, you might be better off start looking for another job, right? Because if you're not innovating, if you're not progressing, you're going down. There's no linear path at the moment. So same thing happens with your career as well. So either you are progressing or you're going down. A lot of time we have this illusion that, oh, I have a very stable job and I'm just working very stable linear path. Trust me, there's no linear path anymore. So that linear middle path is gone. It's finished, right? So either you are going up, so you're progressing, so you can calibrate yourself. Am I better from last year? Maybe am I making a little bit more money? Is the position is better? Am I learning something new, or maybe working for a better company, or whatever that is, whatever your criteria are, that can be upon individuals. But either you are progressing in some sort, but if you're not, you're like, okay, I'm doing the exact same thing what I was doing last year. Maybe I got like a typical 3%, increment, and same thing I'm expecting next year. So technically, you're going down, because very soon you will find yourself in very hot waters, because your peers may go beyond you, and then once you get back and realize it, or you lose your job, you're like, okay, oh my God, I'm not able to find a new job. And no wonder why not, right? So either you're going up or you're going down. So basically, in order to do that, and again, I think I go way beyond what I was trying to say, is like that was the first line, self-paced learning. So in order to understand, you need to adapt to this new learning process, which is how you can learn yourself using resources. So for example, I work with some very awesome developers, architects, right? And let's say we are working on a new solution design, right? We sit on there, we said customer want this. All right. And I was like, hey, Mr. Developer, Mr. Senior Developer who has worked in Salesforce for past 10 years, very senior, hey, I want to do this. And he's like, you know what? Okay, I don't know. Let me come back to you and let you know if it is doable or not. So he don't have answer, although he has 10 years of experience. Why? Because Salesforce is such a diverse platform. It's moving and it's changing all the time. And what he will be doing is basically he'll be going back. He will probably look up some documentation in Salesforce, look up some latest trends, maybe check out some similar things that people have done. And then basically, if he wants to do, maybe do like a quick POC, which is proof of concept, and then he can come back to me same day, next day and say, hey, Khurram, this can be done, this, but this is what it is. But what I'm trying to allude to you that even with the 10 years of experience, I would say 70% of the time, they need to go back and check it out. Is it possible or not? Which you can make question that do they not know that, or are they not a good developers, or are they not good architects? No. The reason I told you Salesforce have 3 releases per year, the platform is moving with the lightning, literally lightning speed. So we used to have like a very different type of interface. Now we have interface for the past couple of years called lightning. So it's actually moving literally on the lightning speed, which means that there is no way you can have all that knowledge ready to go whenever I ask. So you need to go back and search, Google, look in the documentation. But the thing is, if you don't know how to find that information and use it, that will be a big problem, because no one will prohibit you on your job that you cannot go and look for certain processes or check the code online, or check these portals or whatever. You can do whatever you want. But the challenge is, would you able to do that in the minimum amount of time with the right outcome? Because if I assign you a task for 2 hours, I'm not going to give you 2 days to do that hours. I will probably, you may spend like 15 minutes looking for it and rest of the hour, 45 minutes in doing it. But can you able to find that answer or how to do that, or a starting point in those 15 minutes? So in order to get to done or understand those 15 minutes, you need to have a learning capability developed from now on if you're entering into Salesforce, to see how you can read the documentation. Because initially, for that 15 minutes, at the moment, you might need to spend a day maybe, right? And even then, you may not come up with the answer. But eventually, because if you keep doing it for a longer period of time, you start understanding what to look for, where to look for, how to interpret that information, and how to convert that knowledge into actually executing your day-to-day task. Because just to let you know, entering into a Salesforce ecosystem is one thing, but surviving is altogether another. You can somehow, with the hack or some support, or maybe somebody can refer you, get a job. But if you won't able to perform, I don't think so you can survive for too long, because Salesforce is pretty open and shut case. If you do something wrong, before you know it, other people know it. Because if you do something wrong, right away somebody will experience something and they're like, what the heck happened, right? Who did that? And everything is logged. Everybody knows who you're working on, what features you are working, what are you touching. Even your credentials are logged. Everybody knows, okay, this person has done this. Okay, what happened there? So just to let you know, if you're looking for a shortcut, trust me, this is not the good path. Maybe you can close this session, go watch your YouTube videos or something, but this is not going to work for you. If you're not ready to invest time and ready to work hard, it's not going to work. Simple as that. So in order to do that, you need to learn how to understand the task on your own, how to learn things. And that's why I'm focusing a lot on a self-paced. Again, we can do like support sessions. Again, if you're stuck somewhere, you may need somebody to help you. And that's why I mentioned that we will try to have like a troubleshooting sessions. That's why we need some volunteers who already have experience. And we can just set up like a small amount of time, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours a week, maybe 1 or 2 sessions where you can try and learn on your own. So nobody is going to pick your hands and walk you through step by step like old times. It's not going to work anymore, right? What we do is we'll provide you support, we'll provide you online, and I can probably open up my paid certification course for you as well for free. But at the end of the day, you will be the one who need to spend time and log hours. Unless you do that, there is no other easier way. So we will try to have troubleshooting sessions where if you're stuck somewhere, a senior person can help you help that. So I am assuming that that can give you a little bit of more more coverage, because again, if you're stuck somewhere a lot of time, maybe you're not able to find your answer, although you are doing a lot of research yourself, especially when you're a beginner. But at least you try your own, and you try to understand the process. Maybe if somebody tell you this, maybe next time if you stuck another problem, maybe you might able to solve that yourself. If not, again, somebody can help you in the third one, fourth one. But the goal is to make you independent of getting support, because when you are working in the environment, believe it or not, you may not have seniors who are ready to help you and tell you how to do this or that. That golden days are gone. Everybody's busy. Everybody says, oh, I have these 10 tasks I need to do and I need to run. Or if you're working remotely, oh, I need to go and uh, cook my dinner and get ready for kids, because a lot of women and folks are working from home, and I need to pick my kids, I need to do this. I don't have time to train somebody. I just get my own thing, I can do it, and I can get out of here, right? So people don't have time, people don't have energy. And even if you have a nice person who is ready to help, what they will do is they will give you a link to a reference and say, hey, this is what you're looking for, just go and read, and that will solve your problem. He's not, I would say most of the time, if not 100%, he's not going to sit with you, write a code for you, show you how it works. I wish those days were nice. I had some of those days in my early career, but not anymore. That's not going to work. All right, moving on. Certification prep session. So the first step for any learner is go through the course, and I can give you a very specific time, right? Because what happens is I talk to different people, and it's like, okay, I'm learning. How long you have been learning? 6 months. How long you have been learning? 1 year. How long you have been learning? 5 months, 4 months, 3 months. It varies, right? So just to let you know and give you like a time frame what you should focus, I can write some numbers over here, right? So if you start a course that I used to give, right, or you can pick up any course, it doesn't matter. You can pick up any course from Udemy, just from Trailhead, from any source you need. The admin course should ideally take not more than 6 to 8 weeks to go through cover to cover, right? There are about approximately 10 topics, right? Some of those topics involve data, database management, right? Data management, then like security management, then reports, dashboards, flows, building objects, a lot of these things. So at most, I would say there are 10 critical topics, if not more, that you can cover. And based on my experience and my previous support, we used to able to cover all of that in 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. Now, based on your availability and timeline, how long should you spend in order to get it, right? How long you work, like how many hours you're spending and you feel like I'm achieving something. So let's say you are doing this part-time, right? Let's say you have a job, you have a day job, and you're doing this part-time to prepare yourself to become a Salesforce consultant at some point in time, right? If you're doing part-time, I would say part-time means 20 hours per week, and that can include weekends as well. So if you are doing part-time and you're not spending 20 hours per week, you may go back and see, is there a way I can improve it? Again, you can spend less hours, that's fine, but it will take then longer for you to finish your job, right? Which is fine. If you don't have, if you're not chasing any particular timeline, that's fine. You can, totally up to you. But if you want to like an optimal time, if you want to do full time, like you don't have anything else, let's say you just finish your studies and or you are available full time, you can do 40 hours per week, right? Again, that can include weekend. You can spend a little bit more time on weekends, if you will, early morning, late night, afternoon, whatever. But you can easily spend 20 to 40 hours per week if you want to achieve something in Salesforce. And I can talk about what that means, right? So in terms of Salesforce, especially for learners, you can have the timelines are as such, right? So in terms of what you need, so you need to first of all learn, let's say if you're starting, learn admin, right? Then you need to get certified, right? Then you need to prepare for interviews, and that include everything else. And that also includes additional certs, right? So what all that means, like in terms of timeline, right? Like an average time, and again, everybody's different. Somebody can do it way faster, somebody can do way longer. Again, you may have more time, less time, whatever, but I'm just giving you like a very high level numbers. So if you can able to learn admin certifications no more than 2 months, right? You should be able to good in order to go cover to cover, learn it, practice it at least in 2 months, right? Another, I would say, just to get certified, right? And you can do as you wish, like you can actually do like a capstone project or any sample project before or after certification, that's fine. But in certification, I would say you can spend anywhere from not more than 1 to 2 months. That's it. If you're spending more than 2 months, you are taking too much time. Again, it's up to you. If you have that leverage, you have more time, fine. But if you want to be a little bit more optimistic, more organized, this is what we are looking for. Prepare for interview, additional certs, all of that good stuff, which means that you are now updating your resume, you are applying for internships, maybe already started some internships, maybe getting internships, maybe whatever that means, resume, LinkedIn, interview preparations, all that good stuff. Again, that may take another 2 months, right? Because that can also include some internships that you may started somewhere here or maybe here, may take a little bit longer. So on average, I would say landing your first job can take anywhere from minimum 6 months to 8 months, right? You can, again, you can have exception. You can able to get in 2 months. You can get in like not even get it in 1 year. It totally depends on individual. There's no secret sauce. It just depends how much effort you are putting in, right? So if you are learning, you may able to learn in 2 weeks, right? Like if you spend too many hours, you learn very quickly, and that's all you are doing day in, day out. I see people who can able to do it in 2 weeks, right? And then getting certified again another 2 to 3 weeks. Start working on it. So in like really really fast pace, and that's your goal or moral of the life. You're not meeting with anybody. You're not doing anything else. Just focusing to get yourself ready for the job and get some certifications. And I'll talk about what does it mean by some certifications. Is probably you can even get ready in 2 months, right? So if you are really have something that you need to get a job and you need to get out there, you need to be ready for the job at least, you can do it in 2 months, to be honest, right? Now, how many of those other professions that you know of can give you this leverage? Like if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become an engineer, can you expedite that process? Engineer takes 4 years. Doctor here in US take, I don't know, 8 years or more, right? Doesn't matter how fast you can do it, you still need 6 to 8 years to become a doctor. You still need minimum 3 to 4 years to become an engineer, right? Same thing with like if you want to become a lawyer, whatever. Salesforce or some of the ITs can give you a leverage. You can become like job ready with almost like an abnormal time frame. But again, it means that a lot of people at the same time are getting ready for that, right? Which means more competition. Now, if there are like hundreds, maybe thousands of people are ready to get into Salesforce with the very similar credentials, what are your chances? And that's what takes me to the next slide, which means that if you are certified and you are looking for entry level job, I may have, I would say at least 20% or more people right now in this session who may be in this category where they already know Salesforce, they already have maybe admin certifications, but they are finding very, very hard to get their first job, like an entry level position, right? And they are obviously looking for it, they are ready for it. Now, imagine with whatever is going on with the technology right now. I'm sure everybody knows it. You are living under the rock, or even if you're living under the rock with the phone, you may know it what's going on. But with this uncertain times, a recession is upon us. Very tight situation, especially for IT technology. Very very tight situation. However, I just remind you, all you need is one job. It's not that all the Salesforce jobs are vanished, all the entry-level Salesforce jobs are, no, they are there. And what you need as an individual is one job, right? So it means that you have a hope. You know that, yeah, all bad news, 10,000 people lay off from this company, 3,500 from that company, another 11,000 from ABC company. All of that is fine. But I just remember one phrase when I was a student of master's, what my teacher told me, and that was a point that I stuck to it. Although it's very kind of a self-serving, a little bit of selfish, but it is what it is. Sometimes you have to become selfish to get what you need. So obviously, when I did my master's, it was like early 2000s, and we just got through a dot-com bubble. A lot of you guys, young kids, might not even know what happened, but basically, like what happened with the cryptocurrency today, that's what had happened with the dot-com back in early 2000. So millions and billions of dollars was invested in dot-com. Simple companies not producing anything worth billions, right? Obviously, they don't have any justification, but people are dumping money because they think they can do something magic out of it, like how you have like Luna and all these cool exchanges. Latest one is FTX, Voyager, whatnot, and somehow they just give you 18%. 18% commission, 18%, what do you call that? 18% returns, from where you don't care. If I get 80%, oh, good to go. I can invest all my life saving. Maybe I can just sell my house and put that money and move it there. I can sell my everything. 18% is very good, 20%, whatever. But you don't know where they are giving it to you. Basically, what all they're doing is just a Ponzi scheme. Collect the money, shut the shop, you're out of your money, right? Same thing. Not the similar thing happened back in 2000, but very similar scenario. Like a lot of big companies, a lot of tech, like they were giving like a crazy amount of money, not even you can think of back in the time. But then the dot-com burst. Everybody realized that this is just a fake expectations, not going to happen. They're not going to. Their revenues are not even close, and everything goes down. So when I was studying, obviously ready to get out and get a job, we were going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of like, how would we get a job? And again, I'm from outside US, so I was on a student visa. I need to get my H1, and just finding a job is tough enough, let alone get an H1. Like it was almost like from our seniors, is like done deal that you can just have 1 year of practical training back in the time where you can work for anybody, and after that you're basically going back. Simple, right? um, However, like one of our teacher, and I still remember him, I met him recently as well, and he said in a class that we can understand it's a very tough situation, but what you need as an individual is just one job, right? And if you are flexible, then you are not even asking for a lot of money, entry level job. So are you thinking that you cannot have this one job that you can get from this whole system? Why not, right? And that just stuck into my mind that at the end of the day, no matter you check all situation on a mega space, but on a very microscopic level, what I need and what you need as an individual is just one job, right? At least a starting job, or maybe one job that can sustain you and your family, right? It's not impossible. It's very possible, right? Again, I'm coming from a very like a minimalistic view. Again, things are much better than this. But even from the minimalistic view, from a very like I would say very negative point of view, is still all you need is one job. So how hard is that? Now, coming to the point that if you have certification, you have, let's say, one certification, right? What are the next steps that can make you eligible for that one job where, let's say, 200 people are applying, right? You need to somehow beat another 199 to become that one person that get a job. And again, sometimes we have to become a little bit more competitive in order to do that. Now, there are different ways. So they will be checking your resumes, right? They will be checking your LinkedIn profile. They will be checking your interview. So if you give like a very awesome interview, you have a very good profile, very neat profile that they're expecting. You have very nice and elaborated resume. And then you also had like a practical experience, even in terms of internships. Your chances can improve drastically compared to your peers. So if anybody can tell you today or in the past or in the future that I can guarantee you a job or I can guarantee you XYZ. To me, there is not a single thing in this interaction that we have with other humans possible, except one thing is certain. There is only one thing which is 100% guaranteed. Nothing else is guaranteed. And I'm sure a lot of you might have guessed what that one thing is leaving this world. So the only thing which is 100% guaranteed is actually a death. That's it. The death is the only thing which is 100% guaranteed. Anything else is not guaranteed. Anybody who is saying you, I can get your job, give me this money, that money, all you are doing is improving your chances. So all as a human, as a consultant we can do is to improve our chances to get a job. There's no guarantee from anybody. It's the only guarantee is how you can improve your chances from 10% to 20% to 30% to 40% to 50% and moving on to the ladder. And how you can improve that is, as I said, if you have a nice resume, if you have a good LinkedIn profile, and we can talk all of these things one by one in our future sessions. We probably have different workshops on each of them in order to make sure that it is very specific. And again, same thing, resume, what does it really mean by resume, right? Again, this is more very focused topic, but just on a very high level, you can able to have a resume which is focused based on your expertise, your Salesforce expertise, and things of that nature. LinkedIn profile should be nice and clean. How does it look like? Your education, your certification, your experience, your previous experience, your photo, your XYZ, your links, how many people you're connected to, all that good stuff. With that, moving on to the last topic that I have is like, if you are already working in Salesforce for a couple of years, what is the benefit for you to join this group or become a volunteer, right? So again, as I said, one thing is giving back to the community. If you work with other people, you will learn something new every day and you can enhance your own expertise. However, beyond that, we also working with a lot of other, as a Salesforce partner, we always work with a lot of clients and we come across different positions that we can offer. Right now, as I said, um, I'm not working as a Salesforce a placement agency, which means that there are a lot of agencies who actually their bread and butter is to place people, and they have a lot of jobs all the time available, and they match. So I don't do that. I basically run a consulting implementation firm, which means that we just get projects and we implement that projects. But we can help, and we always been asked for a lot of requirements for consultants, and they are kind of growing. And again, if we have a database of good consultants that we are working with experience, we can able to see if we can help them because they're helping us. So it's basically just kind of a return of favor that if we have consultants who are helping us, we will try to make sure that their time is also equally benefited for them. And what we can do in our limited capacity is probably help them get better jobs, help them advance in their own careers. Like if they are, like as I said, senior developer and their goal is to become an architect, how we can help them, how we can give them guidance, how we can connect with the right people. If you are an architect, you want to become like a CTA, how we can help them, how to connect to right people. If you are a business analyst, how to become a PM, so on and so forth. Same thing, we have also seen there are a lot of positions open now and in future where a lot of people are looking for jobs in US, like a remote job, so that they can make a little bit more, monthly salaries. Or there are people who wants to migrate to US, Canada, and other organization, and there are a lot of Salesforce partners and companies who can sponsor them. So we can probably help them. Again, I don't have anything right now. So if you have a question, hey, I'm looking for these two things, I don't have anything right now, just to be clear. But this is something that we can probably work in future. And again, we will obviously give preference to the people who are helping us and who are connected. Probably I know their name, I may have worked with them. And again, if we feel like, yeah, we have a position, obviously they will be the first one that I will put forward. And again, we can also give you ways to do that, right? Not necessarily I have to develop those positions or I have to bring up those positions, but we can always connect you with the right people, guide you in the right way. And the guidance is something which is a lot of time not really appreciated a lot. but unless you have a proper guidance, it can make your things easier. What it takes for you to learn a lot of time, if somebody can guide you and you listen to it and you act upon it, it will save you a lot of time. And as I mentioned, the time is the money. So with that, I think we still have 15 more minutes, so I can open up a session for questions. And the way I want to do it, instead of opening up the audio, it would be nice if you can ask your question through the chat, and I can read your question, your name, and I can try to answer that. So if you have any other question, please go ahead and start writing your questions in the chat box. So the first one I see here is, what does the capstone project include, and how does this learning process looks like? So again, as I said, this is something that I'm planning to do, and that would be probably, I'm looking at around 2.5 months from today, which means that once we have our first batch that able to complete the admin certifications, we can able to have them create a full end-to-end project. So let's say we can have, hey, this is a sales cloud project. We will provide all the requirements as you are working for a client. So we'll give all the requirements, and we can able to say, hey, you need to do this. We can have either you can do it individually, or maybe the same group that you're working with in the past. You can able to work with your team and able to get that project going. So hopefully the goal is that you can get an idea how to use that capstone, like a sample project, how to create, what are the challenges, and you can use that project in your resume or in your interview process to answer all your questions. So one thing I would like to throw as it comes to my mind is, when I guide somebody how to answer your interview questions, I try to guide them if they can answer from a certain situations, right? If they can probably bring up a situation from their past and tell the answer very kind of addressing that issue, how you can resolve that issue, rather than giving like a more theoretical knowledge, or this is what it means, or this is the application. Typically, because Salesforce is such a hands-on project, it's always good to have people sharing their experience. Now, the challenge with the newcomers is obviously they haven't worked, so they don't have that experience. So in order to overcome that, this project can help them. So for example, if you build a project using Sales Cloud end to end, which means that you have set up the data model, you have set up the security, you have created reports, dashboards, you have created few automation processes, you have created you have imported the data, right? You have maybe re-imported the data. And you come across a lot of different challenges. So now, when you are giving an interview, and if they ask a technical question, let's say related to data import. Now, because you have done this project, you can reference that project from the past, that, hey, yeah, that's a very good question. Let me share my experience that I've done in my previous project. Again, you are not lying here or anything. You are just be truthful, and you're just telling the scenario. Hey, let me tell you this situation from my previous project where I was trying to import the data. This was the challenge. This is how I able to fix it. And in future, if there is an issue, we can able to resolve that. Now, that will make a little bit of interesting conversation, because now the person knows that you have a hands-on experience and you are giving a real experience example, and they may ask some follow-up questions. Again, if you have put a lot of effort in your project, you can able to answer some of those follow-up questions. Now, you may also ask that, if I don't have the experience, how am I able to answer all these questions? So same thing, what I recommend in the past when I do a mentoring for interviews is, you don't go through one interview and expect that you will pass it, right? In my previous experience, and myself as well, I targeted that how many people. The first step for me when I started, and when I guide somebody, is, when you're starting looking for a job, how many replies you can get per week, right? So let's say you are getting no reply per week. Okay, you're starting with 0, right? So your first target is not to land a job. Now your target has switched. Now your milestone is, how can I get replies from my email, right? How can I get reply from my resume or the position that I'm applying? So if I'm applying, let's say 5 positions per week, the easiest thing is from 5, let's make it 10, right? See if that changes. At least if somebody can respond me about my job. If not, make it 20, make it 30. Uh, Change the resume, make it a little bit more focused, because now my challenge is not to find a job. My challenge right now, my immediate milestone is how I can able to get more responses from the jobs that I'm applying. Let's say you're able to get 3, 4, 5 responses per week. That means in a month, you're getting like 5, 10, 15 responses. So at least now you have understood or explored how to get responses, right? Because the first challenge is, because in some cases your resume is not good. So you need to fix your resume. You're not applying enough. Maybe you apply 3 jobs and you expect, oh, I should get some answers. However, in reality, in your case or situation or time of the year or time of the tech system, you may actually need to apply 50 jobs per week, but you are only applying 3 jobs. You may not get any response whatsoever. So based on the situation, you need to start applying more and more. Based on situation, you need to review your resume. Based on situation, you need to review your LinkedIn. Now, at least if you start getting enough responses, now you need to focus how many interviews I'm giving per week. Let's say start with 0, no interviews are coming in. So your goal again shifted from getting a job, or your goal shifted from getting a responses, because now you're getting responses, but you're not landing any interviews. So whatever you're talking to, the first person or the response to the email, or typically the HR person reach out to you, you're doing something wrong. You're telling them something which is turning them off and moving away from your and going to the next person. So again, you need to work on what are you doing in order to secure your interviews, right? So again, same thing, you work a week or 2 weeks and you start getting some interviews. Now you need to see how you can increase the quantity of your interviews. So if you're getting once a week, maybe once in 2 months, maybe once in 3 weeks, whatever that is, how to improve that cycle. So again, same thing, you improve it until you're able to start giving multiple interviews. Every time you're failing the interviews, you go and do the retrospective and noting down all the questions. Every time you go through interviews, somehow you need to either record it or note down all the questions right away after that, because those are the questions you need to be preparing for the next interviews, to the next interview. So I have a lot of students who told me that within 2 months, they went through more than 30 interviews, or whatever time frame that was, couple of weeks or whatever. And then finally they said, we can go from round 1 to round 2 to round 3 like this, right? And then eventually, no wonder they can able to get a job as well, right? So same thing, you need to, if you have a big goal, like landing a job is your goal, but you need to divide that into small chunks that can lead you to that goal. So the goal is to get a job. First step is get responses. Second step is get interviews. Third is get enough interviews. Fourth is just pass the interview, get a job, right? So sounds easy, right? But I can imagine it's very hard. I went through the same process, and I actually witnessed my progress time over time. So everything I used to note it down. And again, one thing I noticed, that if you start noting down all your activities, that makes a little bit more logic, because now you know the numbers. Now you know exactly what you're doing. So if you're not doing enough, you can judge yourself that you're not doing enough, and you can start improving on that, right? So that is the way I would recommend that you can go about your job. And then I think the answer that question was specifically that how the project can help. Again, as I said, that project can not only help you understand the actual system, but also you can use that project as an example in your interviews. Moving on to the next one. What is your plan for certified looking for a job? I just told you, if you're certified looking for a job, you need to, now you're in the second tier where you have certification. Now, my next question will be how many certifications? So if you have one certifications, if you're spending time, so for example, you did your certification last month, right? And then 2 months pass by and you're looking for a job. Did you got another certification or not? If not, then why not, right? Because if you are looking for a job for 6 months and you did your first certification 6 months back, My immediate question would be, why are you still sitting on one certification and you spent 6 months looking for a job and you did not add up 2 or 3 more certifications? So my advice to you, if you're having the first job, while you're spending, let's say 50% of your time in finding a job, updating a resume, which I can understand is very overwhelming, very time consuming, but it is what it is, right? You have to go through this in order to get what you're looking for, right? It's a one-time effort, at least for immediate basis, but it can have a quick reward. So if you're spending 50% of the time or 60% of the time in this activity, invest 40 to 30, 30 to 40% of the time in make sure learning the next certification. So typically people start with admin certification, then they can go ahead and do if you are looking for to learn more technical stuff, then you can do more technical certifications, but you can also do like a sales cloud certification, service cloud certification, app builder certification, which is a little bit more technical. But whatever you need, is it doesn't matter which certification, but if you are sitting on your first certification, to me the progress looks like in 2 months time frame, every 2 months, ideally or less, you should have one new certification, right? Now, some of the people say the certification will cost $200. However, keep in mind, Salesforce always comes up with like different vouchers. So sometimes they give 50% off, that will trim it down to $100. Sometimes it's 70% off. Also, there are a lot of different events which are happening across the board where you can get like a free vouchers. And even if it is not free, if you can find a job to sponsor your certification yourself. If somebody's telling me I'm looking for a job and I cannot make $100 a month, I would question seriously about his ability to go to the next step. Why? Because nowadays you don't have an excuse, right? You need to do something in order to get $100 to $200 a month, which is not a big money in any case, right? You can sponsor, and if you're doing in 2 months like a $50, even if you're paying the full price, right? Let's say you don't get any voucher, you are very unlucky, you didn't win anything, no deals coming up, everything is gloomy. Still, you just have to find $200 in 2 months, which is $100 a month. And you cannot tell me that I cannot get $100 a month by doing anything. You can do a coaching, training, you can teach kids, you can have like a training sessions, you can drive Uber, you can drive whatever. I mean, it's basically, I don't take any excuses. You just need to generate and fund yourself, is nobody else is funding you. You always ask people to fund, you always ask your parent to fund, but if you are old enough, if you are like 22, 19, 18, I known people who are like 14, 15 years and they make a ton of money, more money than I can ever make, right? If they can make it, there's no way you are telling me that, oh, I don't have money to do certifications. I don't buy it, right? It means you're not serious, right? Maybe you might not think like this, but you should now, right? So sponsor your certification yourself, get as many certifications as you can. And let's say, for example, you're getting good at certification. Let's say you got like your first 3 certifications and you're still looking for a job and you're still not lucky, right? Again, I'm here, I can help you with your resumes, I can help with your LinkedIn, I can help with your interviews, but then I may also switch your focus. If you're looking for a job for 6 months, you have more than 3 certifications, I may probably switch your goal and say, okay, how about let's focus on a certain cloud, right? How about let's focus on a marketing cloud and get more certifications in marketing or CPQ, or like in some other specific area, because sometimes that can enhance your opportunities, because there's a lot of times where partners like us looking for certain certifications. So just to give you like a background story, which can be helpful, is when we bid for project, let's say I have a new client and I want to bid a CPQ project, right? uh, More times than others, they may ask, can you show us that your team has certifications, right? So individually, it may not matter for you anymore because you already have a job. But as a company, sometimes we need those certifications. So if I'm bidding on a CPQ project, and if I'm not able to generate a single certification from my team, there's a chance that I may not win this project because I'm not fulfilling their minimum requirements. So a lot of time companies can hire people just because of their certification, but not any certification. Not if you have an admin certification and I can hire you, because admin doesn't even count. But if you have, as I said, CPQ, maybe you have a marketing cloud, something else, and you can maybe back it up with something that I like, you're not, you can able to help, you can able to do the job, maybe even as an entry level, but you have a couple of certifications which we need in order to show our expertise for a client. That can be helpful too, right? So as I said, there are multiple things that you need to think about it. Also, um, and again, I can blame myself as well before anybody else. Whenever I'm looking for a job or whenever I'm looking for a position, I look from my perspective. Hey, I have this much experience, I have these many certifications, I'm applying for jobs. Why nobody's hiring me? What's going on? What's wrong with them? Right? So you have to switch your thinking, and you have to start thinking from a customer perspective. Think of you as what you do when you go and buy something from the market. Let's say you need to upgrade your kitchen and you need to find a person who can upgrade your kitchen. What you do, you may check different profiles, right? You may interview them. You can ask about their previous work, and then you will see who's more economical, but he can able to do your job well. And then you will hire the right person based on different circumstances. So think of that person as yourself, that if you are hiring a Salesforce consultant fresh off the board, and if you have options to hire somebody with certain other characteristic, who would you hire first? Yeah, if there is nobody applying and you are the only person, sure, it's easy, right? But if there is a lot of people applying, then how would you choose? So as I said previously, you need to improve your chances to a point where you can get hired, and then continuously work from that point onwards. Because I also have another scenario where people can able to secure their first job, but if they lost their job, they're not able to get back on the track, because whatever they learned, they just able to did not improve their learning on the job that they have. So let's say they work on a job for 6 months, and they able to do the job was easy, very rudimentary work, easy able to do it. But they did not spend enough time to get more certifications. They did not spend enough time to learn more clouds. They did not use that situation to learn everything around it. So when they, let's say the job is 6 months contract or whatever is over, now you're back in the market. There is no real value or skill that you have developed, rather than just make money for 6 months, which is good. But now you need another job, right? So in order to get that next job, you need skill. So you always have to think like, what are you offering which is better than somebody else who is in the same situation applying for you? So anyways, I think I speak a lot. Let's go to the next question. How can someone leverage their sales background to land a Salesforce job? Very good question. So sales position can be used in varieties of ways, right? I mean, I love working with salespeople, and I honestly give a lot of respect to them, because whole my life, like more whole my professional career, I never did sales, right? I always been on either a technical side or functional side, which means that I never need to go and close a deal or find a new customers or any of that nature. So I spend good amount of my career, I would say 80% of the time, never did sales. I interacted with sales pretty much all the time, but it never occurred to me how hard is it, right? Because finding a new client, chasing them down, bringing them to the table, enhancing the opportunities to close, it's a lot of work. And it's a very tough job, because at the end of the day, with all the hard work, with all the effort, with multiple hours traveling, you name it, you may still not get a client. So all of that work is lost, and on your quota, it says $0, right? However, you put like, I don't know, 50 hours, 100 hours on that, right? That's a very tough job. Like if I'm working as a functional consultant or a technical consultant, at the end of the day, I can very easily tell, hey, I spend 100 hours, I build this feature, or I spend 100 hours with this team, I deliver this product. Very easy to actually showcase my work versus hours, right? And but when I see the sales team, you can put all the offer hours, you can put all the effort, and it doesn't give you any output, and which is very, very hard, right? So again, if you have a sales background, which means that automatically, I'm assuming you have a good communication skills, you're a good negotiator, you're somebody who is, I would say 90% of them, very fearless, and you have a lot of skills that can make you a very, very powerful Salesforce consultant, right? Because you know how to talk, right? You're a talker, right? In Salesforce, 50% of the work is depend upon how you understand the requirements, right? How do you make sure that client trusts you, right? How client thinks that out of these 5 different partners, this partner is good because maybe you are, the way you are communicating as a Salesforce consultant or a Salesforce salesperson, you are good, right? So in your case, there are 2 paths. One, if you need an immediate job and you're looking for it and you're finding it hard, you can probably try to get in Salesforce using the sales area of expertise, right? So you can become like a salesperson, like an account executive, and you can apply for different partners. You can apply for Salesforce directly. You can apply whoever is looking for salespeople in Salesforce ecosystem. So that's like a quick turnaround, right? And I can understand that could be something that you don't want to pursue in future, which is fine. But you can start from somewhere that can leverage your background, and you can do that. Uh, However, once you have the foot in the door, spend a couple of months, now you can obviously, as I said, you can start bringing your skills up. You can have multiple certification. Now you're in an environment, you have money to sponsor yourself, you can do whatever, and very soon you can have all the ingredients that you need to become a Salesforce consultant, admin, developer, analyst, whatever, and start applying as soon as you got switch it. Easy path. If you do not, for whatever reason, want to go into sales at all, and you're like, no, I don't want to even see the sales at all, this is just give me a headache, and I just don't want to do it, whatever reason, then, as I said, is a similar path. But business analyst could be a very, very to go position for you, because you, as I said, you have all of these personal you have all of these capabilities, like personal capabilities in you, because you're already comfortable in communication, you're already comfortable in understanding client. So business analyst could be a way to go, and again, everything else can follow the path. Any trail mixes you can suggest to start with for admin profile? So that part probably I will communicate via like email or something, and we can send out different information for certain roles that what you can follow. I have another question is from, I have 8 to 9 years of Salesforce SaaS enterprise sales. What is the plan to go for account executive role? Which certification to start with? So again, if you want to go for enterprise SaaS sales, I would still recommend just go with the admin certification, right? To start off, you can get understanding of the basic Salesforce infrastructure, model, blueprint, then follow up with like sales, service, maybe a couple of other cloud certifications, because when you're selling something, you typically start selling with something of like a sales cloud, service cloud, and then you can go to the next level, become like a CPQ certification. But in your case, because you're not going and doing work, but if you're getting certifications, or at least you're going through the material that can tell you what each of these cloud can be used for, and then you can able to kind of go from there, and can be very, very, very good. Next one I have is I'm a .NET developer with 4.5 years of experience. I have a career break of 2 years, looking to come back. If I learn Salesforce, will I consider it as a fresher? I don't think so, because again, at any point in time, if you learn something, you can always leverage that. So you don't need to start as a fresh, because if you were a .NET developer with 4.5 experience, which is quite a bit of experience to my understanding, you can start pretty much like on a mid-level situation, right? So all you can do is you can, as I said, you can get a couple of certifications, because again, a lot of time people just do one certification and they said, okay, I checkbox my certification piece, now I need to get a job, right? Which is not true. because as long as you're not getting a job, you should increase your certification count as well. I know one of my students, before she ended up getting her first paid job, she was sitting on 5 certifications, and she was doing an internship unpaid for about 6 months to 8 months. And by the time she completed her certifications and she completed her 6 to 8 months as an intern without any pay, her company where she was doing internship, they offered her position, but she got a very lucrative, uh, I would say very lucrative 2.5 times the salary that they were offering from a partner. Obviously, the choice was simple. She switched to the partner, and now she's actually a senior consultant, maybe a year and a half, very active. She got a couple of more certifications, get into a very niche platform, just working with flying colors in Salesforce. So it all depends how you, if you have a focus and if you want to become good. Because as soon as you become lazy and you are not going up, same thing what I mentioned earlier, you're going down. So either you're going down or going up, you decide. And as I said, this person, if you have a .NET developer, for you is like a very straightforward, just learn Salesforce, get 2 or 3 certifications, get a project, get a internship if you will, possible, uh, or do a couple of projects if you will. Just get a couple of friends, right? Like if you're looking for a project, you don't need to wait for me or anybody for that matter. I'm sure you may find new friends who are in Salesforce. Just ask them, whatever project you are doing, can you put together like a scenario for you, right? And then you and bring a couple of friends together and build a solution yourself. You don't need to wait for me or anybody else to actually tell you, right? Nowadays everything is available. You can build your new groups, you can find people who can help you. I mean, I never had a scenario where I reach out to somebody for help and they say, nope, I'm not going to help you, I'm not going to tell anything. Everybody, most of the time, they are ready to help if you are asking the question, if you're asking the right things. Like if I go and said, hey, can I get like a senior developer job, can you please give it to me? Of course I know the answer, right? But if I go somebody, hey, I'm doing this thing and I stuck here, I just need your 5 minutes, or if you can just respond me via email or message or whatever, then how can I go about it? Just guide me. I would say like 99% of the time you will get a positive response. Like people are very, very nice, very, very helpful. They do it, but you need to ask them. Again, if you're asking for something which is not in their position, like hiring somebody or doing something like that or giving vouchers, that could be tricky. But other than that, if you have any technical questions or things like that or guidance, you can build up your own 3 people group. Find a friend who is Salesforce consultant, ask him what scenarios you do, create a scope of work and start working on it, and that's it. And you can take it from there. Next, I'm interested to join this. I have a sales background and I got my hands dirty. uh, on Trailhead and created a simple app on Salesforce as well. Yeah, so very good. I mean, same thing. You can continue that you are on the right path. You learn. You created an app, you're on Trailhead, you haven't mentioned about any certifications. So if you don't, same thing, get 1, 2, 3, try to get internship if you will, try to get a job if you will. So, but keep improving your credentials. If you're stuck on there and you just keep doing, I see a lot of people, they're stuck in Trailhead, right? They just become Ranger, like 2x Ranger, 3x Ranger, and that's it. Like they're just doing Trailhead. So you need to try like different areas. Like Trailhead is good, but it's not the only path. You need to do Trailhead, but then you need to get certifications, then you need to do internships, then you need to learn communication skills, then your resume should good, your LinkedIn should good. So if you have to see a little bit of a broader picture and don't focus and just get into one area. Thanks for coming up with a great initiative. Joining from India, how can the program help for me if I'm residing outside? As I said, it doesn't matter where you are. It's not focused on US or India or Pakistan or Europe or whatever, wherever you are, right? I have people who are working from Pakistan and India. There are people in Pakistan and India working for direct companies in US, Canada, Europe, whatever. So it's not limited to any region or area. It's up to you what you want to do. If you want to become a Salesforce consultant, we can guide you. We cannot hold your hands and push you step by step. We can just provide you guidance. Now we will be looking for like how you look for people. And personally, I'm very interested in working with people who want to be very successful, right? Because working with those people can also improve your chances to become more successful. They can help me in terms of learning more, because I can learn every time, every day when I talk to somebody, I learn something new, and I want to keep connected with people who are very enthusiastic, learning. It doesn't matter if they have zero experience or less experience or more experience. There's always something that we can learn from each other. So I will be looking after people who are kind of progressing, because what I can see, what the measure of my value add from anybody is to see if they're progressing for their own. So if somebody is not honest with their own self, how can they be helpful to me? If somebody is looking for a job but they're just sitting and waiting somebody to send them an offer letter, that person may not be helpful to me, and they cannot be motivate me. They cannot help me learn anything new because they are lazy enough not to do their job. How can they be helpful to anybody else? But there are people, and I don't want to name anybody here, but I see people who started in there. They connect with a lot of people. They send messages. They send reply, and I can imagine, a lot of time they might be discouraged, but they keep going on, and they are progressing. They are getting jobs. They are getting moving up because they are consistent. They're persistent. They're putting their work, and they just made a goal that I want to achieve this, and I'm not gonna back out. So if you have those capabilities, I definitely want to work with you one-on-one as well, but I want to see what you're doing first. If you come to me and said, I want a job, and the first question I'm going to ask you, how many certifications you have, and you says zero, I can't really help you, right? If you come with me, I have like 3 certifications or more certifications. I have done this and that. I can definitely want to have one-on-one session with you. I want to see where are your lackings, where can I help. I may open up your LinkedIn, I can open up your resume, I can do whatever I can to enable you, because again, I don't have like jobs in my bag that I can open up and say, okay, here's your job, here's your job. But what I have is the way how you can get your own job, like just the methodology, how people hire people, right? Because I hire people for my company, and then other people, I used to hire a lot of people from my previous company. I used to sit on interviews every single day. And I also know that other peers of mine, when they hire, because we used to have like a conference call after the interviews, like 4 people used to interview, and then we put together and say, okay, this is what I think, this is my grading, other person give grading. So I learned from other people also that how they think, how they evaluate, because then we overall evaluate and give like one verdict, okay, we'll choose this candidate or that candidate, right? So it's not just coming from my perspective, but working with other peers, other hiring managers. I also picked up a couple of ideas that, okay, how other people see it, what other things that can turn them off. So, something of that sort. Is it possible to work remotely for different? Of course. I mean, I don't need to elaborate on that. You know that. Very good. Thanks for explaining. I'm working as a product support using Salesforce application, but I'm looking for more hands-on experience on implementation. Does this program suits me? Of course. I mean, again, as I said, this program can be for anybody, any role in Salesforce ecosystem. What we will try to do is, as we move forward, we'll try to segment this into different areas. So somebody, maybe one segment can be catering like early learners, another can catering a different area of Salesforce like Marketing Cloud or CPQ, and things of that nature. So that's definitely upcoming. I have been working on the telecom project as part of the cloud, but it's not Salesforce, and I'm looking for Salesforce development. Can you suggest how to develop my career into the development part? So as I explained, you can start with the admin certification. So even if you want to become a developer or business analyst or a salesperson, the first certification is admin 201. So you can go to Mike Wheeler. He's a very cool guy, very nice course. You can take his course. You can also go to Udemy courses. You can go to Focus on Force. They also have training guide on admin 201. You can learn from there. You can learn from YouTube. and I will, as I said, I will throw my training as well, but it doesn't matter. Any training you can go through, they all talk about the same items, same things, drive from Salesforce. So it's the same thing. Whoever resonate with you easier, whoever you can understand it better, that's all matters. Other than that, everybody is good. All of these courses are very nice, and you can pick up from any part. Can we do projects on Trailhead or any platform? We can. Yes, you can. Trailhead is connected to your development org, and you can actually do things. And then once you understand that, then you can actually have a free org. Then you can actually, as I said, you can maybe consult with somebody, or maybe if you have some experience in the past, just come up with the scope of a project and build that project. And it would be ideal if you have like a couple of your friends doing it together. So in that way, you can make it a little bit more interesting. What is the Salesforce growth outlook in US, and there is a risk outsourcing can severely impact salary growth? Okay, so a very interesting question, kind of a slightly different view, and I'm assuming this person may be residing in US, and obviously he's asking about the salary, salary impact, and if a lot of outsourcing is going on. So just to keep in mind, outsourcing is nothing new, right? Outsourcing is being done for past 20 years, right? So it's nothing new. Every single consulting firm you can think of, especially the big four and anybody who comes after the big four, they all have really huge offshore offices, right? And it's not even confined to India. They have offices in Manila, in Pakistan, in Europe, in East Europe, in West Europe, in you name it, right? Everywhere, right? They wherever they can find good resources, in some cases cheaper good resources, they have their office, right? So if you are worried about that, all the resources will be outsources. Uh, if that was the case, even today you may not have any single developer job in US, zero, right? Because there are a lot of people, like what we have, like 8 billion people now, minus 350 million is everybody's outside US, right? So 7.75 billion people are outside US, right? So if that was the case, then there will be not a single job in US. But on a contrary, you don't able to find people in US. It's a difficult, it's a other way around situation. I can tell you, if I want to find a good developer in US, I will struggle a lot compared to if I want to find a developer outside US is much, much easier. Now, one may ask that if it is so cheap and they're good developers, why do you even need to hire developers from US? There are multiple reasons. In many cases, uh, the project nature require you to utilize US-based resources. So any work which is state, federal, sensitive data, even I would say certain verticals like healthcare, financial, and so on and so forth, they all require that we don't want our system to be accessed anywhere outside US, right? So that's number one. Number two is there is a time difference from different regions. And there is also a cultural difference and communication gap as well. So the way people communicate within US, if you're living in US, there's a certain way you can communicate. And again, I'm not saying anything that the people outside the US cannot communicate, but obviously if you are living in outside US in a certain country, you know exactly what the norms are, right? You can able to communicate way better because exactly you will following all the events, everything is kind of synchronous, same weather, same living conditions, or all of that. So same thing like when you work in US, there's a lot of time they need people with the local presence so that they can communicate with the people. They might need to go for on-site trainings, meetings, whatever. So they need people in many cases in order to make sure there's a better collaboration, better understanding, better business analysis, that they need resources in US. And the third and most important thing is in US, you don't have that many developers generating compared to other areas. So if you go and check out how many graduates are coming out of universities in US who are stay in US, the percentage of the requirement in US is way higher than the number of graduates. So I don't find I rarely find, even today with all of these layoffs, personally, I don't know a single developer who is jobless. Again, something happened in the past couple of weeks is a different story, but I don't even know a single good developer who is jobless. However, I know many, many developers who are doing multiple jobs at the same time. Again, that is a different story altogether, but I personally know multiple developers, architects, and other roles in Salesforce who are not only doing their 9 to 5, but probably doing either another project or a job or a couple of hours and making 2x, 3x salaries, right? So, so and again, being in US is a different advantage. And again, I don't need to worry too much about outsourcing because it's very norm. And again, sometimes it just reverses as well. Um, how can experienced admin cert in a Zendesk CRM complement my learning of Salesforce? Again, because you worked in a Zendesk, which is a CRM system, um, it means that you already have the basics of CRM, right? So all of the CRMs at the end of the day do the similar job, right? They collect the information and then they, work in a very similar business process, right? So having that the background and basics can help you only elevate in Salesforce, right? Because compared to somebody who is just trying to understand what the heck CRM is, and probably they spend a couple of weeks just to really understand how does it work and what does it mean, unless they go through it, you are coming with that background that you already know what it does. And as soon as you start learning something, you're like, oh, okay, let's do this. Okay, that's how it's done in Zendesk or whatever tool you ever use. So it will give you an added advantage. You're already coming with an experience, everything is positive for you. So I would say that's a very good case scenario. Will the session recording available on your YouTube channel? Yes, of course. What I can do is, I believe I'm still recording. I think so. Yes. So I will put that in my YouTube channel as well. And again, I have some old recordings as well. If you feel like they're useful, good. But moving forward, I will try to do and put some short YouTube videos as well, which may be a little bit more focused on different areas. Like if you want to, if you're pursuing for like as a business analyst, what does it need, right? What are the tools you can learn besides Salesforce admins and stuff like that? So I will try to do that definitely. And I can somebody's asking for my YouTube channel, so here it is. It's Unboxx. I'm just writing in the text, and it's called Unboxx Learning. With two X's, my company name is also Unboxx, but it's with two X, not a single X. So Unboxx Learning, and my company name is Unboxx Technologies. Again, I will start putting some more stuff on my YouTube channel, Unboxx Learning, and then try to generate maybe some more videos that can be helpful. But again, as I said, the main goal is just to buckle up everybody. Things are a little bit tough these days. I can understand a lot of folks are losing their jobs. They may be sole breadrunners. People are getting very anxious. Maybe depressed to some extent. However, keep in mind that you're not alone. Again, there are a lot of people, hundreds and thousands of people who are going through tough times. And that's why actually this kind of motivate me to get back on these sessions and whatever minimal effort I can do. Again, as I said, unfortunately, I do not have lot of jobs in my hand that I can hand it over. If I had, I'd definitely do that. But at least what I have is a little bit of experience in Salesforce, a little bit of training background, and some ideas at how I can help. And also keep in mind, sometime when you start something now, the fruit might be waiting for you in like in few days or months. So maybe you might not get the output in next month, maybe not next 2 months, maybe not next 3 months, but maybe next 6 months, maybe next in 8 months. And trust me, if you able to uh, follow the straight path. I know there are some other paths, some other shortcuts, and I don't, as I said, I don't want to judge anybody. Whatever works for you, just do it. You need to feed it. You need to get a job. Whatever works, I'm cool with that. But if you end up following like a very kind of straight path and do everything like how it's supposed to be done, and you put your effort. I mean, I'm very, very positive. I never see anybody who put an effort and it's all going to a vein. The only time it goes into a vein when you stop working on it and you switch, right? So let's say you spend 6 months, you're not getting a job, and at the end of it, 6 months, you say, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. You wrap it up, and you said, I'm going to do it. That is the only time when it actually not give you, you're making it 0% probability because you just quit. But as long as you're keep trying, you're keep working, but how do you gauge your progress is if you're adding something on your resume every single time. It could be a monthly, it could be bi-monthly, it could be 3 months, but you need to add something in your resume that will show your dedication. But if you're sitting on it after doing 2 months of effort or 3 months of effort, finding first certification, and now you are like, okay, once I get a job, then I'll think about the next certification. That may be not a super positive or super enthusiastic attitude, but if you are continuously progressing, there is no way you can end up getting a job. Same thing. So thanks a lot for joining. Again, as I said, I'll continue these sessions. We will probably get, so one thing just to close the session is, if you are interested in volunteering, I will probably send out an email more specific to that, and you can sign up in the similar way that you want to be a volunteer. If you have some Salesforce background, if you're actually working in the field with 6 months or 1 year experience, and you think you can able to guide freshers who are just starting learning Salesforce, we need that, and I can make up a group so you can help them. And again, we can have more senior developers or senior consultant who can help you as well. Or if you want to learn from scratch, I will again send out another email. I may have already collected the names of the folks who want to learn. So I can probably start reaching out to you via email, trying to build up some groups, and we can take it from there. And then hopefully we can able to build a small community where everybody can help each other and take it to the next level. So with that, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. And we'll see you next time. Take care and have a good rest of your day or night. Take care. Bye.